Thank you. So I come from Portugal. I'm a furniture and product designer. I started my studies in Lisbon, then I moved to Milan to finish the studies. Moved up to Rotterdam for my first job experience. Further up to Copenhagen for another job experience. And then slightly down to Berlin just for the experience for no job. And I think in Berlin it's the city that Pierre was talking about. A city with no industry, with no center, and making a new economical model. I think it's the only one in Europe. I think there's someone from Berlin coming to speak here today.
From Berlin?
Yeah, not? Well, DMY, not? I misread it, no problem. So they can talk to you about that better. So those first 12 years I take them as my core education period. Then after that I moved back to Lisbon to start my own office. And I started to work under my own name. And from my education I learned that there is two ways for a designer to work. Either in companies or for companies. And I decided to work for companies because I would have at least the advantage of having different projects and my daily life would be more happy because of that. So I worked for these companies, some of them, other companies that I didn't include here, some are better known than others. And I was happy that these companies wanted to hear my ideas. And I worked on a project for an Italian company, a key light holder. I presented them my idea, which was to solve stackability and use this item while it's stacked. So they liked the idea. These projects I'm going to show you now, they are not so important as projects, but as a group. So this project in the end, after the company made models and prototypes, the prototypes were looking good and promising. And after a long time with silence, they finally call me and say, sorry, it costs €1 too much for us to put it on sale, so we have to stop. So this project was cancelled because of €1. This is another project. The flagship air carrier in Portugal, TAP, called me to think about the meal on board. And I came up with the idea to save space, so I found out a way to serve food vertically. They liked the idea. They even wanted to present it on the 60th anniversary exhibition, also showing the history, but also showing a bit of the future. But I'm still waiting for their call to make this project a reality. So this was in 2005 until now, no call. Another project cancelled. This was done with FSB in Germany. The idea was to design a door handle that could be, after you flick through a catalog, you could remember a door handle. I don't know if you ever saw a catalog of door handles. They are normally this thick. You flick through it, and after you close them down, you don't remember anything. So I came up with this idea of working not only on the volume of the door handle, but also on the skin of the door handle. They liked very much the idea. They wanted to do prototypes. They did a prototype. They called me and say, prototypes look really great. I'm going to send you for you to see them. I get the prototypes. They in fact look great. I called them and asked, how shall we proceed now? And they tell me, do you have a building for the door handle? Yeah, not really. Sorry, so we have to stop the project. So I always thought that the products would work for buildings, but now I would have to have a building for this project, to work. Funny. So another project, a solar company called me to work on a thermal solar collector. I don't know if you are acquainted with this, but it's not really important if you're not. So they asked me, could you do our collector a little bit more beautiful? And I found it like a very strange request, but then on the meeting I understood better. So this is a type of object that goes to our places. So we treasure our places, so we don't want to have anything this ugly like that side on our roofs. So they wanted to make it a little bit more beautiful. I understood, but they also told me on the first meeting, you can't touch any of the components. So they have to have that size and they have to have that relative position. So what I did was to hide them all, and I hid them and left only visible what was needed in technical terms to be visible. So they liked the idea again. We made models, we made tools for production, and after, I would say, 200,000 euros spent, they never came up with a project. So this was 3 or 4 years of me working on my own name, and this was the result. I had no money. I was bankrupt. So I was dealing here with a lot of frustration and also a lot of insecurities. The thought of giving up design occurred to me at this time, but I decided to give it another chance. I really was curious to understand what was really going on. So I worked with nice companies that people know in the business. The companies were liking the ideas, they were working on them, they were putting money on them, sometimes a lot of money on them, but then a product would never saw the light of the day. So as a designer, normally works with a company on the basis of a royalty contract. I think you know what it is. It's like I make money if the company makes money. I get a percentage of sales. That didn't happen, so I got the zero. So I decided to think, let's give it another try as a designer, and I started to think in analytical terms. So design is a very operative job, but I wanted to understand this thing, and I invented this word which is design and analytics put together, so it's design analytics to really understand. And now I think I go into, I don't speak French, I understand a little bit more than I speak, but I think what Geel was talking about was a little bit of what I'm going to talk about now. So I think my conclusion out of thinking of my project, my failure before, was that maybe we were evolving from manufacture towards brain facture. So we were evolving from this type of scenario to this type of scenario. And while we were in this type of scenario, there was some companies producing a lot of objects, but not really competition between them. When this happens, and that one-person company can achieve the same results as this type of companies in terms of quality, so industry was created for bringing up products, good quality products at a fair price to the masses, and that was their triumph, and that's why they built these huge production compounds to be able to produce the quality at a fair price. Comes these people, this type of people, not these people that could alone produce the same quality at the same price. And it's much nicer to work like this than to work like that, right? So, and this is more or less what's happening in Europe. I think manufacture is being displaced and sent somewhere else, and we are keeping the brain facture. So by brain facture, I try to say a more concept-based word, more ideas-based word, which is what design does. But the design does meet the manufacture, the producing of it. So if on one way I came to conclude that the quality was not anymore the distinctive element of the industry, so because me alone probably could achieve the same quality for the same price. The other thing that I came to understand was that the tools for anyone to communicate themselves and to broadcast themselves were getting very, very, very strong and free. So no money again. So quality is cheaper, communication is virtually free. So there's a lot of power to the person, not to the people, but really to the individual. The individual has a lot of power that they never had before. So the do-it-yourself model, which in the 70s was a way of rebellion towards the mainstream, now can be really a business model. If in the 70s those independent music bands would produce those maquettes of their music, those tapes, and we could see that the quality was really not so good, and okay, the price was also very cheap, but the quality was bad. Today, if I do something alone, the quality is the same. So again, the music industry was the first example of this. So they freed themselves from the music labels to be able to communicate their work. So, and the quality was as good. So them alone could organize concerts, they could produce their own records, and this was the biggest inspiration for me. So in 2010, inspired by all this, I wanted to really try it out as a designer, because for me, I thought it was possible as a designer to go into this kind of context. And so I came up with a project, a furniture project, where I chose deliberately to be outside of the industry. I chose as a designer to be the designer, the producer, and the seller, using all those tools I told you about before, the outsourcing of the quality and the communication tools. So I came up with the typologies. The typologies themselves are not so important for this presentation. And my goal was double. First, to achieve the same quality that industry was achieving, so that was my big doubt. Because I think that was really the problem of those projects. The industry, for the first time, they felt that there was a competition from those micro companies, from those one-person companies. So the market was completely open. So these companies, huge companies that used to have the market share, they all would be friends. So I have my market, you have your market, we all make money. Suddenly comes these people, one-person companies that can also come into the market with their products. The price is the same, the price is even cheaper, the quality is the same. So these big companies start to have no market at all, and for them to put a product out, it became a big risk. So this is what I concluded was the reason of my failure before, when I was trying to work with the industry as we know it. So I try to do the other way. So I don't need the industry, and as a designer I can do everything myself. So I design, I produce, and I sell. And I design the same way I was designing for the companies. The quality had to be the same, and the price for the customer also had to be the same. This was one of the challenges. But another challenge was to really find out what was the role of industry today, the economical and social role of industry today. So together with the design, I defined a set of operating rules, which is economy of scale, and it's not misspelled, it's really economy. People tend to correct this word when I send text for publishing. So economy is by economy of scale, what I mean is the perfect balance between how many products shall I sell to make it economical, sustainable, but also ecological, sustainable. So economy is the mix of economical and ecological. And I think these are, by freeing myself from the establishment, I also conquered the freedom of deciding everything, of what to do, how to do it, and why doing it. But also, I conquer myself the freedom to think about issues that are very, very much complex for the industry being so big to think about, like sustainability, cultural identity, and ethics, which for me can be the three issues that industry can become relevant in the future. So economy of scale being the sustainability issue in a holistic sense. Mass customization as opposing itself to mass production. So in terms of, we all use the same products, there's almost no distinction, so we don't build our personality out of the products we have as we used to. So is there a way that we can personalize the products we sell? Because the quality is there anyway, it's a given fact. And then local, because if I would go into producing my own products, but you can only buy them in Portugal where I come from, that's regressing, because we are used to buy products everywhere we are on the planet. So local means, and I call it local, so a product has to be produced in the place where it's sold. So I dealt with this issue in the double way. So my idea is to produce always with homegrown materials. So I only chose materials that are produced in Portugal. But the idea was to, if I sell the project in France here or in Brazil, which I'm probably doing soon, I would partner with someone here, give them the designs, and we would choose local materials to produce. So the same form, the same shape would have different materials, local materials. So this is how I define local. And then ethical, because design objects are not primary need objects, but we like to consume. I think consumption here can be a positive thing if the industry, the new industry, thinks of sharing a bit of their profits to organizations that can help solve social problems. So out of consumption, even if we don't think that we are donating anything, we are in fact donating because the producing company donates. So what I have now is a system that my furniture is cheap, almost as cheap as IKEA. I sell stools for 10 euros, and I produce them in Lisbon, so it's not in China. I have a different variety of stools. I donate 3% of my profits to an NGO that I chose, and I ask them to use my money, or the money I'm donating is their money now, on a specific subject I think is relevant in Portugal, so that can change from country to country. And if I didn't sell anything before when I was working with these famous companies, And after 1.5 years of working on this project, I sold already over 600 stools, over 30 tables, and that means like I'm selling around 50 stools a month and 2 tables a month, which is quite impressive for me alone working on the project. I'm here coming all the way from Portugal to talk to you about the project. Wallpaper magazine just asked a few products to be sent to them for an editorial. I'm now producing in Brazil, so there will be a version of the project in Brazil. And I'm exporting one of the quartz tools to Sweden. So suddenly when I decided not to be part of the industry, I start to make money again. It was quite intriguing, but happy, anyway. But of course the question will pose itself, are the industrial days over? And I don't like to think so. I don't want to think so, and I would like to work against it, so industry doesn't end. Because even if by working like this, I make the eco footprint of my products very little. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. He talked much more. But he's older. He has more. But no, I really keep it. Now I'm confused. So even if the eco footprint, the carbon footprint of my products is minuscule, the impact of that is also minuscule because I sell very little. So for us to really make a change, we have to go to work with the big companies because those are the ones that can make a real difference. So, but they have to change. They have to change their approach. They have to change a lot of things. So here we have 2 companies that are quite successful in what they do. But so Vita is like an example of the manufacturing world. Facebook is an example of now the social network world. And I think what we should have is this: companies should avoid the shops and go directly to the customer. So we have face Vitas all over. And because this will then, as a consumer, I think I want to sponsor a company, but I don't want to sponsor a shop. I want to sponsor the choices of a company that decides to produce in some ways instead of other ways. But to sponsor a retailer, that's bullshit, that's nothing. So I think this could be the solution. And when, as a company, if I have all of you wanting to sponsor me, I mean, you gain because if there's no middleman at the shop, the prices of the products come down very significantly because the shops really like to put money on the things. Whenever they want to sell my products, I have to have a huge fight with them so they don't put 300 margin on top. I'm almost finished. So this change would be crucial for that. So I hope there will be a conversation and then I can. But I don't want you to think that this is about a revolution. It is not a revolution, not rebelling against anything, so that's why I want to work with them. This is about evolution, and industry should also evolve. Not only technology, but the model of industry, as we know it, should also evolve. And I think I made it in 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Did I speak too fast? Could you understand anything?
Yes. And there will be discussion at the end.
Okay, great. So,
et j'appelle Catherine Geel. Alors, Catherine Geel, comment que vous vous installez? Donc Catherine Geel est historienne et théoricienne du design. Elle est maintenant co-directeur du Dirty Art Department. Alors, et master, là, il faudra nous en dire plus.
Ouais, master. C'est le master de la Red Hat Academy.
D'accord. Donc du Symbol Institute et de la Red Academy à Amsterdam. Elle est chargée des cours d'histoire et de théorie du design à l'école normale supérieure de Cachan, dans le cadre du programme d'agrégation et d'un cours à l'école nationale supérieure de création industrielle à Paris. Elle est aussi professeure titulaire des écoles nationales supérieures d'art à Limoges. Donc il doit y avoir une quinzaine d'étudiants qui sont...
Je ne sais pas combien ils sont, mais il y en a un certain nombre.
Que l'on salue.
Ouais, une quinzaine.
Voilà. où elle coordonne aussi la recherche. Elle est cofondatrice du Festival international de la Villanoise, la Design Parade, et commissaire associée jusqu'en 2010, donc à la Villanoise, et directrice en chef design de Archistorm, qui est une revue d'architecture et de design, comme vous le savez tous. Il se trouve que la dernière fois que nous nous sommes croisés, elle revenait d'un voyage en Italie, donc je pense qu'on va encore un petit peu parler, puisque sa publication à paraître concerne les écrits d'Alessandro Mendi de 1972 à 2011. Voilà, et le sujet de son intervention, c'est petite archéologie d'un décollement.
Bonjour. Alors, en écoutant les deux premières interventions, celle de Pierre Damien et puis la suivante, je me disais que j'aurais dû appeler ça petite archéologie d'un recommencement. On va voir. Le cadre de cette communication, elle a pour ambition d'inviter à ne jamais considérer que les choses sont nouvellement innovantes ou formidables. Ce que je veux dire là, c'est qu'il faut essayer de prendre et de lier assez rapidement des chemins issus des différents champs. Donc moi, je vais me servir de certains textes que vous connaissez très certainement, et puis de l'histoire, dont Pierre Damien a fait quelques rappels en disant qu'il y avait une certaine importance à aller l'observer à nouveau. Alors j'ai juste apporté un livre, ça va exactement dans cette idée-là. C'est un livre qui s'appelle La Révolution industrielle. C'est un ouvrage de Patrick Verlet, qui est un historien français. Et je pense que par rapport à ce qui a été déjà dit, c'est d'une grande aide de se référer à ce type d'ouvrage. Voilà.